Okay, great. We are live now. Great. So I hope the two previous sessions have at least given you some insight into the various things which all come into play when we have to discuss or when we have to buy a health insurance policy. So before I start the session 3, let me give you a quick recap of session 2, that what all we discussed in this. Obviously, continuing with the basics part, I discussed the 15 factors which are actually instrumental in deciding that what should we look at when buying a health insurance. And those 15 factors were, the number one was which type of plan is it, individual or family floater or a family health insurance plan. And then the second factor was cashless hospitalization along with network hospital list. The third criteria was the age criteria. The fourth one was the duration of the waiting period. The fifth factor was premium to coverage ratio and room rent. The sixth factor was pre-existing disease coverage and co-payment disease coverage. The seventh factor was co-payment clause. The eighth factor was selecting the right insurance amount. The ninth, claim process and its expedition for the company. The 10th factor was the maternity benefits. The 11th was pre and post hospitalization. 12th was lifetime renewal. The 13th factor was free medical checkup or a preventive checkup being included by the health insurance company or not. Then the 14th factor was daycare procedure. And obviously, the 15th one was the no claim bonus, which I discussed all these factors in detail, giving you illustrations wherever it was possible, and how these factors actually affect us. So then I gave you a segregation of different factors of various health plans which can be sought out for parents and or the senior citizens, and which all factors should be looked into, and the various parameters which should include, of course, the health history of the parents, the sum insured, the various other parameters or the limits, sublimits, disclosures, which all. Then I discussed in brief about the employee benefits, the group health insurance. How can we actually convert a group policy into a individual policy? How can we add our family into it? How can we claim the NCP? How can we do the porting process? How can we do the conversion process? I discussed all these things. So even if you missed out these things, obviously some parts, some sections would be repetitive in the myth section, so you can catch hold of them. Then lastly, I discussed about the health insurance for the disabled or the differently abled, which all factors are included, either the disabilities are congenital ones or the disabilities due to accidents or any mental disorders or behavioral issues or mental disabilities, if I can say. So all those factors, that whosoever is taken as a candidate or a policy holder by the company, the final rests on them only. So I gave you an example of epileptic patient also, what kind of coverage clauses are there. And then we left the conundrum to start on the OPD health insurance. The last slide which I shared was on the OPD health insurance. So I believe that yes, these things would have been there, included in there. Very convenient topic, which I deliberately missed for the first two parts, which Dr. Kanaga raised it yesterday regarding the top up and super top up. I didn't want you to get actually embroiled in the all the kind of confusion, because so far I've tried to keep the things simplified in a very, very logistic way. So I never wanted to complicate the things. So I believe that a certain amount of repetition in the two sections, and of course some parts today as well, will actually fully cement those concepts in your mind. Before I discussed the super top up and top up, it was already there in this presentation. I deliberately skipped that, and I didn't even mention in any of the sections also, because those factors have a role only in the premium part. Of course, the coverage is a issue with the top up and a super top up, but you can buy an extended policy also. The top up and the super top up have a different scenario altogether, which I'll be discussing today surely. and in depth. Don't worry, because if I have discussed portability like thing or group health insurance, considering that I know that majority of you are self-employed, if I have discussed the group insurance and its conversion, so there is no reason that why I shouldn't discuss top up and super top up. So once you understand, you come to those slides and you understand that, you'll know why I missed them in the first two sessions. There was a reason for that. And of course, nothing happens without the reason anywhere. So kindly allow me to share the screen. So this is health insurance basics session number 3. Please let me know whether I'm audible clearly and the screen is visible, so that I can start the screen sharing or slide movement ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So today's session is going to be a little bit long. So you can grab your meal along with, it is approximately going to take about 1.45 to 2 hours. So because there is a lot of stuff which is my favorite, of course, that has to deal with the figures and the numbers and those slides, which are the best policies, because ultimately after the concept, the final thing boils down to best policy kaun si hai. I told you, even if there are 15 factors, you still, I would pick 6 or 7 factors, which would be my favorite. Of course, my favorite would be because of my particular medical situation or my particular medical history or my family background. Your might be some other factors. I have already 2 kids with me, so obviously I am not going in for any health policy with maternity benefits for my family. So I'll skip those parts. Someone who's young, is just married, maybe intend to plan a family in a few years from now, couple of years, so they look at those policies. So these ways, those I can conveniently skip the maternity benefits. So someone of you who's not in that stage will definitely like to include that. This is just a small example. So all my presentations will always begin with thanking the Lord Almighty has given me much more than what I deserve. And when it comes to finance, I have to thank my dad as well, who's been responsible in teaching me the clinical part of finance. So this is my brief biodata. You all are aware of it by now. So we are discussing the health insurance basics. So this is MPG webinar number 20. In fact, number 19 was supposed to be in the morning, but then I haven't changed the sequence. This will be 20. We'll take up 19 next week. So this is part 3 of the 3 parts. I could have easily split it into 2, but then 4th part would become boring in it, because if you repeat a thing for multiple amount of times, it will not be very, very convenient for anyone in that regard. So this was the last slide of the session number 2, OPD health insurance. So as I told you that in many companies these days, almost rather majority of the companies, it is not mandatory to have a 24-hour hospitalization clause, which was actually a mindset of many of the individuals, that 24 hour ka hoga tabhi hamara bill pay hoga. So those things have been done away now, because with the advent of medical science, procedures, technology advancement, especially laparoscopic surgeries, people are discharged many times the same day, or maybe less than 24 hours. So even heart stent patients are discharged in less than 48 hours sometimes. So it depends upon the situation one is encountering. So we all know that it is a backup for us to manage our healthcare expenses, because medical emergencies or medical catastrophic can strike anyone. So, but then we don't only need hospitalization, we will need actually OPD cover as well. Why do I do that? Report by Statista, or a survey was conducted by international agency Statista. It actually showed that 22% of Indians consult with a physician for a normal cold cough. Again, not counting the COVID times, but before that. So they consult a physician at least 3 times a year. So if your insurance is not covering this concept, we will not be actually availing those benefits. So let us understand first what is the OPD cover and how can it be beneficial for us. Because many of the ailments that we routinely have in maybe nausea, vomiting, fever, cold, cough, apart from COVID thing, diarrhea, loose motion, constipation, allergies, all those things are the ones which require a OPD consultation, and rarely they would require an hospitalization. So if the treatment aspect, those OPD aspects are covered by the policy, we surely will get a reimbursement from the company. So even some conditions like a dental checkup or a eye test checkup, they also get covered. Of course, full dental treatment is not yet fully covered in India by majority of the policies. Yes, there was the first policy launched by Bajaj Alliance way back in 2008 or 9, if I'm not wrong. So they launched, then it was followed by ICICI, which launched a 9,000 rupees OPD plan for dental, again in 2010 or 11, maybe a couple of years after Bajaj Alliance. And maybe then a few lesser known companies did that, but ultimately uh, so many parameters, they changed. The dental policies are still not available in India in the full-fledged mode. Of course, corporates do cover it. And also the dynamics of the companies have been changing now. Religare became Care Health, Apollo BKV became Apollo Munich, then Apollo Munich became SDFC Ergo. SDFC and Ergo, they actually had a joint venture. Then I think one more policy, ING Vesha turned into some other policy. It was taken over by that. So these things are changing. These are ever dynamic. So if we are going to the doctor for a normal consultation, for a normal OPD, those OPD expenses are also claimable by many of the companies or many of the policies. And there is sometimes no rider on the number of claims. And of course, they will have a cap limit for certain things. They will have a cap limit on some medicines also sometimes. But then those kind of things are again a part of the policy, and you really need to understand the clauses mentioned in there. So a commonest list of expenses which are usually covered: the diagnostic fee, the consultation fee, minor surgical procedure like excision and or maybe an IND, which happens just in the normal routine OPD, the medicine bills, the dental procedures and treatment. Of course, this is subject to terms and conditions apply. Consultation fee, cost of hearing aids. Again, cost of hearing aids can vary from 5,000 to even 1 lakh rupees, high end even 1.5 lakh rupees. So they still would have there would be a cap on those, that how much would the company reimburse you. You cannot go in for the best thing. In many governments, in many state governments, in many states allows for reimbursement of the dentures also, eyewear, lenses, crutches, ambulance cover, or maybe any other extra cover, which may vary from an insurance company to another. Because again, these things are differentiator factors. Some will offer a combination of 3, 4. Some will offer another combination, what they feel that which are the best suited ones. So let's have a look at because today is the last presentation, so I have to give you the plan names. Obviously, I have given you at various junctures in the first 2 as well. But today you'll get a lot of these slides where you actually get to see the companies also, their other data also, which I'll be sharing today. So hospitalization as well as OPD expenses, it depends upon what exactly is there. You have to read the fine print. Most of the things that I mentioned are covered, and even 1,000 rupees as ambulance charges. Then Apollo Munich, no longer now, it is an SDFC Ergo, but then the plans like an Optima Restore plan is still being offered. The maximum plan is also being offered. It offers outpatient expenses. In this, many things are covered like pharmacy expenses, specialist services, even sometimes maternity benefits as well, before and after childbirth, obviously the OPD related expenses. So then Max Bupa Heartbeat Platinum Plan. Uh, this is also covering the OPD insurance to a smaller percentage. Then Cigna TTK Pro Health Accumulate Plan. So this is the list of the OPD insurance plans that are actually those companies are offering. These are the most common 4 ones, but yes, there are many other as well. But then again, if there are people actually who, again, not talking of the COVID times, normal times, they have a change in weather, they have a allergy to the seasonal pollen. There are many, at least in Punjab, we have so many families around me, those who are constantly suffering every second, third month from cough and cold. So it is a routine thing for them to go to doctors and actually be on medicines for a good amount of time in every, say, quarter for maybe a couple of weeks or 2 to 3 weeks. So for them, such plans would hold good. Obviously, when you have regular OPD visits as well, that patient will actually be more prone to hospitalization also. So make sure about that part. So that brings me to the yesterday query, which I just offer the answer in brief. So what are the top up and super top up plans? I hope that you are actually now convinced that 2 to 5 lakh coverage is not a good amount. And I always advise a 5 to 8 lakh coverage. If you opt for a regular plan, for example, a 20 lakh coverage or a 15 lakh coverage, the regular plan with the sum assured would actually be a very costly one. I'll give you the numbers and figures for that also. So what is the option? The double protection, the top up plan and the super top up plan. How they work, what exactly is the difference between the two, what are their dynamics. I'll explain everything in detail with examples. If you have any queries pertaining to this particular topic, please note them. I'll answer them at the end. So I will not like that there should be a break in the flow once I'm discussing it. So if at any given point of time, any query related to any topic, please keep on noting them, or maybe you can post in the chat message as well. I'm not going to look into the chat till the session finishes, so that if you're forgetting, you can write it over there. So a top up is actually again an additional cover over and above your available limit. It is like if you exceed the sum insured, it'll come into action then. And if for example your sum insured is 5 lakhs, again ignore the deductibles and the copay thing for a minute. You know those things are applicable. You know what exactly is a copay, co-insurance and deductible. I trust that you have watched the first two sessions, at least the first session where the terminology was discussed. It went on YouTube as well today morning. I shared the link. So I trust that though you are clear with them. So let's leave those for a moment. If you have a sum in 5 lakhs and your total bill comes out to 8 lakhs, if it is just a regular plan, your top up, it's just a regular plan, your company would cover 5 lakhs. Again, ignoring deductibles and all those things. So the remaining 3 lakh would have to be borne by you only. And I'm ignoring the limits and the sublimits as well for the moment to explain you this aspect. So you have to bear the remaining 3 lakhs out of that 8 lakhs from that. Now, if you have a 5 lakh cover plus a 5 lakh top up, 5 lakh sum insured regular one and a 5 lakh top up, and you have a bill of 8 lakhs, you will be getting the coverage of that courtesy your top up. And then the deductibles things are there as a clause in the top up plan. So again, those deductibles suppose taken care of, the top up will actually pay for that additional 3 lakhs. You don't have to pay anything. But then there is a difference. God forbid, you are again hospitalized in the same year and your bill is now 1 lakh rupees and your deductible is lesser than that, let's suppose. So that means you will say, Mera to 5 plus 5, 10 lakhs ka coverage and I have availed only 8 lakhs. You will have to pay that 1 lakh additional second bill from your pocket. Why? Because top up can be claimed once in a year. Super top up can be claimed multiple times. Let's see at the slides now. So a top up will have some drawbacks and which can be resolved by opting for a super top up. Let's see those. So consider the example first for the top up, then I'll go ahead with the super top up as well. So let's suppose who is a health insurance, he's a bank manager, has a health insurance policy of 5 lakhs. He pays a premium of rupees 12,000 towards the policy. And he's hospitalized and he has a heart attack for his treatment goes up to 8 lakh. So his only 5 lakh and the remaining he would have to pay from his pocket. But if he had a top up of 10 lakh, that means 5 plus 10, or with a deduction of 5 lakhs, again, deductible something which has to be chosen by you. Then additional amount would be paid by his new policy, ensuring that he remains protected. So that means even if you have a 5 plus 10 lakh cover and a deductible of 5 lakh, that means the deductible is already taken care of. You still have a 5+5 cover. Your 8 lakh would then top up or super top up will come into action when your basic limit is breached. Try to understand this. If you have a policy of 5 lakhs, again, I'm giving you a different scenario. If you have a policy of 5 lakhs and you applied for the reimbursement, there were various clauses of copay, deductible, room rent limit. Those all were applicable. You opted for an expensive room, and your total bill maybe was 4.5 lakhs. Again, lesser than 5, but the company reimbursed you 3.5. Your 1.5 would remain as the sum insured in the year, not 0.5 or 50,000. Because आपने 4.5 apply किया था, you applied for 4.5 of claim. 3.5 was given. What is given is counted as the deductible or is counted as the sum insured availed. Don't use the term deduction here. So only this, so 1.5 would remain. So in case of a second hospitalization, your limit of 1.5 has to be breached first before the company goes into the top up plan. I'll give you another example for this. So the top up will be giving you for once. The super top up will give you a threshold over multiple cases. So just assume the same scenario, Mr. Virat. Once he had his treatment of 8 lakhs, he suffers another one after 6 months. Presumably, let's suppose it is within the same calendar year or within the same premium year, if you can say. Now the bill is 8 lakhs is already availed. So he has the bill. This time the bill is 7 lakh rupees. Now, even if it is covered under the top up plan, maybe he has a bigger top up. Let's suppose he had 5 plus 20 lakh of top up. He has claimed that 3 lakh under the top up out of that 20. So that top up limit is gone now. You cannot avail that top up again. In this case, the super top up, if it is there in your policy, will come into action. How? Let's see. So if you have a super top up of another 10 lakh, again, a threshold of 5 lakh, the plan would pay the additional sum of rupees 2 lakhs. Again, deductible is 5 lakh and your threshold is 5 lakh. So it will be paying that. So it has provisions for multiple claims also, which are not by a regular or a top up plan. So try to understand. So what are the points to remember in the top up and super top up? It's not finished yet. I'll be giving you a few more examples. Just try to understand what are the points to remember in this. So the deductible is basically the top up is the basis amount, as I discussed, जिसके बाद से आपका plan comes into action. For example, if he has a policy of 3 lakhs and a top up or a super top up of 7 lakhs, with deductible set at 3 lakhs. So his top up will come into force only if the bill is over and above 3 lakhs. Because if the threshold is not breached, you cannot claim that. But if the bill is under 3 lakhs, then top up and super top up will not be into action below the deductible, even with the daily limit breached. So then the base plan. While it is not mandatory to have a base health insurance plan, but for a top up or super top up, it is recommended a base plan is in place to cover the amounts below the deductible. So then lower premium, of course, you can get a top up at a lower premium than the regular plan. And the premium amount would be depending on the deductible. Obviously, higher deductible would mean the lower premium. This I've told you multiple times now. It depends upon you, what you want to choose. So then there are 2 types of top up plans I've discussed. One where deductible is applied on each claim separately, or a super top up where deductible is applied on the total claim in 1 year. Super top up में बार-बार deductible नहीं लगता है, only once. Top up में लगेगा because the limit has to be crossed from the basic one. So you should be careful while you buy the plan and the deductible thing. So that is the reason I didn't add these things. These are a little bit complex. Obviously, you'll need a repeat watch to understand this. I can understand. But if I had merged these things with the previous 2 sessions, trust me, everything would have gone out of the window. So because I know that those who have attended the first 2 sessions, they are very clear with the premium coverage, deductible, co-insurance, and all those things, because I've taken that in depth. So let's look at it in the tabular form and check out which are the differentiating principles. So it is the principle of per claim or per hospitalization only once. In this super top up, multiple claims are permitted. So policy lapses after one claim cover for the cover. If it is even a 20 lakh top up, you claim just 1 lakh out of it, your top up of 19 lakh is gone. But then policy, until your total super top up cover is there, even multiple times, it will not be lapsed. But yes, if the top up, super top up limit is crossed, let's suppose everything combined is 20 lakhs and you have multiple hospitals and your total bill in the year is 22 lakhs. Yes, 20 lakh limit is exhausted, then you have to pay that 2 lakhs from your pocket. So settle the claim only if single bill amount is over and above. Single bill amount means that your basic plan or the regular plan has to be breached. The basic limit has to be breached. So again, settles claim if total bill amount exceeds the deductible limit only. So you have to set the deductible limit multiple times or from the total threshold. You have to ring upon that. So let me give you a few scenarios to understand a little bit better in this regard. So Ravi has a top up and super top up with rupees 10 lakh cover and a regular policy with a cover of 5 lakh. So he undergoes treatment, hospitalization. Consider the scenarios. Single bill comes to 7 lakhs. So remember, the policy is 5 lakhs. Top up and super top up is 10 lakhs. So 5 plus 10 is there. So his first situation, single bill is 7 lakhs. What would happen? 5 lakh covered by the normal policy and 2 lakh paid by the top up. Now in this, again, 5 lakh paid by normal policy and rupees 2 lakh paid by the super top up, of course, both the things. Now, second scenario, he is hospitalized twice. 2 bills amounting to 4.5 lakh each. 5 lakh paid by the normal policy and no amount paid by top up. Since the deductible is 5 lakh, the range has been set at 5 lakh. So top up will not pay anything in this. So 5 lakh paid by in super top up, 5 lakh would be paid by normal policy and 4 lakh paid by the super top up plan. It doesn't mind the multiple claims. So now third situation, 2 bills, one for 7 lakhs, another for 2 lakhs. So in this, again, because the 5 lakh limit is breached, 5 lakh deductible is breached, 5 lakh by the regular and 2 lakh would be by the top up plan. And in this, if you have just the super top up backup, 5 lakh paid by normal and 4 lakh paid by the super top up plan. So this is the way things work. This will not be permissible if your total bill is below deductible. This will not be permissible if there are multiple bills. This will be permissible after one deductible limit and multiple times. So you pick and choose accordingly. So what does it mean? It actually means that they offer additional coverage beyond the threshold limit and they cover all the bills multiple times as well. So if there is a basic, I'll give you another situation. If the basic health insurance is 2 lakhs and the top up, super top up is 10 lakhs with a threshold of 5 lakhs. So if there is a single bill of 8 lakhs, 2 lakhs by the basic policy covered here. And since the top up is 10, so 6 will be covered by the top up the first time. So then since the single bill of the value is less than the top up value, there will be no difference ki top up liya hai, super top up liya. It is one and the same thing. So the same situation, this was the one if it is a single bill of 8 lakhs. Now let me give you a second situation. If there are 3 bills generated at different times, first bill is 6 lakhs, second bill is 2 lakhs, third bill is 1 lakh. What we had 2 plus 10 with a threshold of 5. Remember this. Now, first bill is 6 lakhs. The basic will pay rupees 2 lakhs. And that is the minimum amount covered. And in super top up also, it will be covered by that. Then top up will cover the additional 4 lakhs out of those 6 as the amount of the total bill is more than 5. The threshold limit has been kept at 5. The total bill is 6. If the total bill was 4.5, as I mentioned, then the top up will not come into action. Then super top up will come into action. So then other expenses will have to be borne by the patient in case of remaining 1 lakh. So in super top up plan, the basic is covered by the insurance. Super top up will pay the remaining 4 lakhs. And then in the second and the third scenario of 2 lakhs and 1 lakhs, since your threshold of 5 lakhs has already been breached here, they will also pay the 2 lakhs bill and the 1 lakh bill subject to total आपकी limit है 5 plus 10 2 plus 10 12 lakhs. I think 2 plus 10, yes, 2 plus 10 was 12 lakh. So they are paid 6, 2 and 1, total 9 lakhs, because the threshold limit is 5 plus. So which ones you have to prefer? So if you do not suffer from a chronic ailment for which you have to go in for frequent hospitalization, single top-up plan would be good enough. And you would be extremely fortunate that if you are not hospitalized again and again. But if you run the risk of being hospitalized once, more than once, kidney troubles, maybe diabetes, maybe related disorders to heart, then you will actually, it is best that you have a super top-up plan as well. So I hope a few things are clear in this. So how does the regular top-up plan work? When do you claim from a regular base policy or the basic top-up plan? They normally link the top-up plan deductible with your base health policy. And this is not mandatory कि जिस company से आपने the company have bought your base policy or the regular policy, you have to take the top-up from that company only. You can take a top-up from a different company also. But then when it comes to network hospitals, the paperwork will get confusing. Even in case of non-network hospitals, you have to then first go with the process of one company and then go with the process of other company. Of course, tedious process, bill would be sanctioned, claim would be granted, but it'll take a slightly longer period. But if you bought a top-up plan with a maximum sum insured of 10 lakhs and a deductible of 5, and you have a base policy of 5, and if you were hospitalized and your bill is 5 lakhs, what would happen? Out of those 5 lakh, the insurer, if he settles 3.5 lakh from the base, so you cannot use your top up, because assuming that he deducted the deductibles, co-pay limits and other things, as I gave you an example just now, even if you applied for the bill of 5 lakhs or 4.5 lakhs, your bill was sanctioned for 3.5, maybe because of the clauses in your clause, then 1.5 still remains in your sum insured. So that can be there. So if you cannot use your top-up plan in such a case, so if a second claim of 4 lakh is triggered in such a case, it will not be again paid by the top-up policy, because the threshold or the deductible is set at 5 lakhs. Deductible of 5 lakh, because next time the bill is 4 lakhs. So again, the top-up will not be used. Maybe probably you will be getting, even if it is paid in full, you will be granted 1.5 out of your base health policy, and the remaining 2.5 you have to pay from your account first. So how does a super top-up work in such a scenario? So same, the deductible limit over and above that super top-up will come into action. And if you have the same scenario, 5 lakh base policy, 5 lakh deductible, and a super top-up of 10 lakh, and you hospitalize for 5 lakh, same scenario I'm giving you, your insurer granted you a claim of 3.5 out of 5. Again, super top-up cannot be used because your total bill did not exceed the deductible. Deductible was 5 lakhs. So you cannot, but you can use the super top-up for your frequent claims. So it will provide coverage for as total 5 lakh is covered. For the next claim of 4 lakhs, because your limit is breached now, you have 3.5 plus 4, 7 lakhs. So you will be covered under the super top-up plan. So lastly, just try to understand this once again with an example. If you have a regular plan of 6 lakhs and a top-up or a super top-up of 10 lakhs and a deductible of 16. So that means your net coverage is 10 plus 6, 16. But the minimum bill or a threshold is 6 lakhs. So scenario 1, you require hospitalization and the bill is 9 lakh rupees. The base policy will cover 6 lakhs and the top-up will pay 3 lakhs as the amount is more than the deductible of 6. So the deductible or the threshold will come into play. So the super top-up, if it is only a super top-up plan, then again 6 plus 3 would be paid by that. God forbid you again need a hospitalization. Next time your bill is 5 lakh rupees. So in the top-up plan, there are two scenarios. It is already less than the deductible, plus it is the second scenario, second chance. So top-up will not cover this. But then the super top-up will cover this 5 lakh bill as the deductible has already been paid beforehand. Then a third bill of 2 lakhs, 9 plus 5, 14, plus 2, 16. Top up will not cover it because it is the third instance. So plan will cover the third bill as well. Super top up will cover third bill as well, because still the total threshold is, because your coverage was 16 lakhs. So it will be covered in that surely. So when to opt for a top up or a health super top up policies? You can opt under a few circumstances. When you feel that your regular health insurance does not offer you adequate protection, or you want to enhance one of those plans, or you want to increase the cover without having to pay higher premiums, so you can opt for a top up or a super top up. So I would suggest that you buy a super top up or top up with a deductible equal to the sum insured under your base policy. If your sum insured is 5 lakhs, buy with a deductible and buy a plan of minimum 5 plus 5. Because any claim would arise, you will have the deductible up to that, and your super top up will take care of the additional expenses. And as they work on per claim basis or a claim payable basis, and claim payable basis means you applied for 4.5, you got 3.5. So 3.5 would be counted from your sum insured, because claim payable is after the limits, your total coverage, room type, sub limits, waiting period, and sum insured. So I hope these things are clear to you. So what is the cost effectiveness? Obviously, these plans would be a lot cheaper, and my favorite subject, mathematics, that comes into play. So make sure that the deductible of the plan is not higher than the sum insured under the regular policy. If your regular policy is covering 5, your deductible should not be 6 lakhs. Remember that. Now, again, one example, if a 30-year-old man buys a regular health policy of 20 lakhs, the premium would be around 20,960 of 20 lakhs for a regular policy. I'm talking the individual plan. Usually policies are placed at all the policies if there are no other riders. Riders means any other conditions, pre-existing problems, because I can expect a 30-year-old non-smoker male should be a healthy one. So usually the premium is at 1% of the total amount covered. So if the same person buys a regular health policy of 6 lakhs plus a top up or a super top up of 15 lakh with a deductible equivalent to the base policy of the 6 lakhs, so then the same insurance would be 7548 or 7938. So that means there will be a saving of 13,412 or 64% of the cost by a regular plan. And you can save about 13,000 rupees if you buy a both one. Let's see the same slide in the tabulated form. See, top-up plans can cut your health insurance cost by 60%. So regular policy, 2960. So regular policy with 6 lakhs cover, less than 1%, 5560. Then top-up plan separately with 6 lakh deductible, 1988. Super top-up with 15 lakh cover, 2378. So if you add these and go ahead, this is the way I arrived at the figure that I just mentioned. So total cost of top-up arrangements at 30 years of age, 7548, adding these two, and super top-up 55 and 23, adding these two, 7938. So savings percentage given here at the age of 40, if the premium is 23, with the regular policy, it can come out to 9,000. So this is the way you can save on the costing factor also. Remember, in the first 2 sessions, I never discussed about the cost. I always said, yes, people look at the cost, even the promotion is done on the basis of cost, but this is the scenario which was actually needed here, that how to differentiate between a regular policy and a top-up and a super top-up policy. This is the mistake committed by many, many people. They actually go in for a enhanced cover without bothering for the top-up and super top-up. I hope the amount of examples given should be good enough to settle the any kind of doubts in your mind. Still, if there are any queries posted, I see 4 queries shining already, but I'm not reading them, but I can see the number flashing. So I'll be answering them at the end if there are any. So, but if you watch this video again, I'm sure your doubts would be removed 100%. So even if you want to watch this video again, Tuesday morning, this video would be live in 4 days from now. So claim settlement, again, these take place as per the base policy wordings and the claim for the top-up plan wordings. So policy document reading is very important. As I say, read the offer document. That is very important because they'll also have a limit, a co-payment thing, and sub-limits, all those things. So if your plan does not have a co-payment clause, then you don't have to pay anything. But if it does mention, you need to be very sure about it. So the process is hassle free if you buy the top up from same insurer. As I said, you can buy from different, but I'd prefer that you buy it from the same individual only, because administrative expenses, all those things are covered equally. And you don't have to pay separate file charges for those purposes. So then if it is from a different insurer, then claim papers would have to be filed. Then the total payment would not be cashless if the top-up plan is from a different insurer. The top-up plans don't come with a network hospital list. They are separately there. They're only for the cover part. They don't come with that. But if you are getting it from the same insurer from where the regular base policy is, which you selected basis on the network hospital, and you went to the network hospital also, and the top-up is from that company only, then there is no issue. Then it is automatically taken care of. So don't confuse things. Always keep things simple. So if you're not happy with the company, then why are you buying the regular plan also from that company? If you're happy with that company, it makes sense to buy the top-up and super top-up from that company itself. So if you buy it from different companies, that means you'll have to pay the hospital bill first and then get the reimbursement done from them. So what, again, this is the last session, so I'll be giving you out the names as well as I gave in the OPD part. So various companies which are giving you top-up and super top-up: Bajaj Allianz Extra Care, ICICI Lombard Healthcare, Star Health Super Surplus Plan, so Care Enhance, Apollo Munich Optima, of course, now SDFC Ago, United India Insurance Super Top-up, HDFC Health Suraksha. This is one of the favorite plans in healthcare sector, HDFC Health Suraksha. So there are two aspects which I have not discussed with you and not mentioned also. One is this, and one you will see later on, which we discussed in the claim settlement part. There is another term which is associated with that, that is the ICR. Of course, don't worry, the slides will come for that. So these are the two things I wanted you to actually have a full concept before I answer any queries. So that is the reason I avoided that. So that brings me to the favorite topic of today, the health insurance myths. As I said, there are a lot many myths, and we actually fall into the trap. Myths hai, all those things. Many of these myths have been discussed by me in one form or the other, and I'll quickly go through them. You know many of them by now. I'll be discussing 20 myths today. So we all know that these are one of the health insurance, as Dr. Rishabh also mentioned last night. It is one of the misunderstood products. People actually are very confused about top up and super top up and other things. So don't worry. I hope your myths would be solved today. So myths would be debunked today. So, and because we all know there is a lot of information on net available about it, and we actually don't resort to buying information by ourselves. We always try to do it on hearsay, and that is where the lack of knowledge and understanding about the insurance part will lead us to make bad decisions. And my duty was to convey this to all colleagues, and this is not a 1-4 thing. This video will be on YouTube forever till any change in policy is there from YouTube or Google. So this will be there on the YouTube for anyone to watch. This is like a ready reckoner for anyone who is wanting to buy health insurance. Watch these 3 parts, and of course with the critical illness coverage part, and you are actually much better than what you were before watching these videos. So my purpose is just to impart the education and nothing else in this. So health insurance is an absolute must, and that you should remember. And for that, you have to actually change your mindset, and you have to debunk certain myths. What are the most common myths? Just to enumerate: I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need insurance. बीमार लोगों को insurance चाहिए होता. My family is covered by my group health insurance. Health insurance लेना 80D के लिए I can take anyone. So unless you have your own opinions about it, be a leader. I always say be a leader. Don't follow the herd mentality. Take your decisions yourself. Become an authority so that you can guide others. My duty, my this purpose of providing knowledge is so that I can at least 11 of you watching, 12 of there were 13 at the start, 11 of you watching this video, and maybe many more would watch on YouTube. My aim is to actually impart knowledge to a huge set of people who can tell this to those people who are not very tech savvy or don't want to watch the video देखना बड़ा मुश्किल काम लगता है ना सबको 2-2 घंटे का. So it is very difficult for people to actually make a judgment. So again, I would need your help in that. I'll mention it tomorrow in the group. What help do I need from all of you? So myth number 1, I'm young and healthy, I don't need health insurance. One of the most commonest myths. We all know late 20s or mid 20s people, they don't need attention unless it is a congenital disorder or unless there is a very gross family history. Usually you enter into the age, the entry age premium is less if you're young and healthy. Of course, at every renewal, the premium does go a little bit high according to, but that is majorly factoring the inflation part. That is not majorly कि आपकी अब एज इतनी होगी इसलिए प्रीमियम आपका इतने से इतना हो जाएगा. If you enter at 30, let's suppose, and you enter at 25, the premium which increases from 25 to 30 would not be concomitant with what you are entering at 30. It will be still comparatively lesser. And of course, the waiting period clause is there, the pre-existing illness covering clause is there. So you have to be very cautious of those things, because as we age, ailments are a lot in our life. Our profession is one of the most stressful professions. Trust me, there are many colleagues. I can count thousands, at least I know, who in their early 30s started with the tablet of hypertension. BP ki goli to wo khate hi khate hain. And it is too young age to start with anything such. But then you need to remember that if you're young and healthy, you need to take care of these things. So then treatment cost of COVID, we also, as I mentioned earlier, also bills up to 15 to 17 lakhs were also there last year. And those actually burnt a big hole in the pocket of too many people. And now the scenario is reverse. Rich people, especially in Delhi, walking on roads 2 to 3 weeks back with bundles of money in their hand, and they were not getting beds or cylinders. So this was the scenario. Then if there is no health insurance, you need to cover for that. If it is an accidental part, make sure we should be sure that it is also covered in those health insurance policies. And pre-existing 2 to 3 years waiting period, it is there. So if you enter late and if you are already affected or infected with any disease, you will have to then go through that waiting period. So in young age, the premium is less, the risk is less, and you can easily wait for the waiting period as well. So you can avail the health coverage soon, because अमर होके तो कोई भी नहीं आया है, ना कोई ये हो सोच के आया कि मैंने कभी बीमार नहीं होना. We all fall ill one time or the other. So we need to be very careful about certain aspects. Then another myth commonly related to that, medical insurance is meant for unhealthy people. Those who are fit do not need health insurance. Trust me, there have been so many cases, there have been so many incidents and stories we have read about this. Forget those things. We lead a sedentary lifestyle. From the dental chair to the clinic consultation chair, our walk is this much only sometimes. Especially again in the normal times, I'm not talking about the COVID time. Sometimes the whole day passes at the same 4 walls and 1 roof of a clinic sojourn, and we actually have hardly, and we are so dead tired that at the end of the day we just want to play with the kids or maybe have a dinner and go to sleep. And because we are tired, we get up late, so there is no time for exercise as well. Then especially in the northern part of India, we are more prone to malaria and dengue. And dengue is as soon as June and July start begins, trust me, there is a lot of huge list of people who get affected. The platelet count goes as low as 5,000 for many. One of my 2 good friends last year, 2019, literally were on say 4,000 or 5,000 count, platelet count, which you all know 1.5 to 4.5 lakh count is there. And somebody goes below 20, is serious. Luckily, they recovered well. But then such kind of things can also strike you. These are very trivial ailments, But again, these are very trivial elements. They don't need actually a waiting period as well, but these can also strike, especially in the seasonal things. So it is imperative that you have the coverage for even these things. And if you have a platelet count, you'll be needing blood, you'll be needing so many packed blood as well. So there will be a lot many things which will be there, and your hospital bill will not be less than a few lakhs. So you need to make sure. So being fit does not mean that you cannot have an accident, or maybe you cannot have an unforeseen illness. So all those injuries, even accidents, can cause you damage of many lakhs as well, and sometimes, God forbid, disability as well. So all those things are covered in health insurance. We all should know that. So then, pre-existing myth number 3: pre-existing diseases are covered from day one. Another myth related to this is benefits of health insurance start from day one, or health insurance purchased just before a surgery will cover the costs. Nobody tells us actually, and agents also misguide. And sometimes they know it. At least they know these things, that the benefits are not covered. But to sell those things, they'll actually do it, and we trust them blindly. And when the time comes, God forbid, if it comes early, either they are unreachable, or if they say पहले होता था, अब कंपनी ने अभी क्लॉज चेंज कर दिया, मेरे को तो खुद नहीं समझ आ रही कंपनी ने ऐसा क्यों किया. People are brilliant salesmen. They can resort to any sort of excuse. What excuse do you have for your own ignorance, for your own non-verification of facts? Nothing. So it is you who is as mistake, not your agent. So don't trust blindly. So these 3 sessions are only for opening up your eyes in that matter. So the truth is opposite. Mostly, as I mentioned earlier also, they come with a 30-day waiting period. Not a 1 month, not a 28-day or a 31-day, not a 1 month, it is a 30-day waiting period. We discussed that yesterday. So, and for the pre-existing, we know 24, 36, 48 months are there. There are some policies which allow you to make the claim only within the first 30 to 90 days as well, for certain pre-existing as well. But then some would not allow a coverage like a hysterectomy for females. They will not allow the coverage even up to a selected period of time, 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years. So always fill out the complete details and make sure that you don't hide anything. And certain diseases like tonsils, hernia, cataract, they will be claimed after a certain day mentioned only, and not from day one. Of course, accidental is covered from day one usually, but some cover it that also after 30 days. So it is the time to remove this misconception. So waiting period clause is very important. And along with that, there is a co-payment clause also in senior citizen policies. Mostly young policies will have either a no co-payment clause or a 2 to 5% co-payment clause. But the senior citizen policies will usually have, on an average, 20% co-payment clause. So make sure about that part. So either you give the information correctly, because your coverage for those things would begin after that prescribed time in your policy, which you need to see into. So compare all those things differently proposed to you online as well, and choose the one which is most suitable to you. Understand all the inclusions and exclusions that I gave you this terminology glossary list in the first session in the terminology part. Policy tenure, sum assured. I've discussed all these things. What exactly are they? So it is important that you know about all these. So myth number 4: if I don't reveal pre-existing illness, it will be covered by health insurance. So surely they are not. You know it by now that they are not covered, and your claim will be rejected. And if by chance it is passed, then you are liable for IPC 420 proceedings as well, as I mentioned yesterday. So you do need to declare. You have to be honest. You have to give a fair disclosure, and the underwriters of the risk will actually then gauge your medical condition, and if needed, they can ask you to undergo a medical test also for that. So then with number 5, you're covered under corporate health insurance and you don't need a separate health insurance. That is wrong actually. I mentioned if you change, you get a lot of benefits under corporate policies. You get almost no waiting period. The premium is less. Sometimes you don't pay the premium also, or maximum you pay 50-50. As I discussed yesterday, if your employer is journalist, you will pay 0% premium. So it brings you peace of mind, but then you can port it within the 45 days to an individual policy we discussed. So, but then the corporate cover would also be in a minimal range. 2 to 5 lakh cover is there. But someone who's earning a good amount in corporate from 80,000 to 1 lakh, a 2 to 5 lakh cover is not good enough. So always opt for an individual as well, or opt for a different policy, or opt for a conversion of the policy. Because if you change the policy, and then another important aspect, even if the company or the organization covers your family also along with you, the family would include your spouse and your minor children. Not even major children are covered in this. If somebody is say aged and has a major children, they are usually not covered in most of the policies. Parents are surely not covered in that policy. So opt for a separate plan. And if you are say ambitious enough and always look out for opportunities in your sector, then you'll need the job, you'll need to change the job as well. And once you leave the corporate, your insurance benefits would cease to take effect, and they'll be valid only till you're the employee of the organization. Once you quit, you will be no longer covered under that policy. So uh, all these policies are given as a part of employee healthcare program. So don't ignore the importance of individual health insurance. So as I mentioned, they will not extend to your aged parents, dependents. Sometimes the major ones, they might include minors, but then there might be a co-payment for the minors or dependents as well, sometimes, which is not very kind to our pocket. We won't like that in such a scenario. So myth number 6, if you break the insurance contract, you will lose the benefits, or the benefits will become void if the insurance is renewed after the due date. I mentioned as per the latest IRDAI guidelines, you actually should renew it before time. The company sends you a reminder via SMS, via email, and some companies are there on WhatsApp as well. So if you opt for the updates, they'll give you there also. But if you still forget because of any reason, you'll still have a grace period of 30 days after the policy renewal. You will not lose any waiting benefits, any pre-existing coverage benefits, but yes, if your due date was, let's suppose, 30th May or 31st May was your due date of premium, and you forgot to pay, and you will still have time till 30th June to pay it. Imagine a scenario, God forbid, you had a situation where your family needed a coverage, or you needed a hospitalization on 10th of June. Then suddenly you remembered, oh shit, मैंने तो insurance का cover नहीं दिया. And you then pay for the insurance amount on maybe 11th or 12th of June. So whatever the claims are there in that missed period will not be admissible. You will not lose on the carry forward benefits of waiting period, कि जो आपका clause है कि 24 month, 36 month waiting period. You won't lose on that, but any claim in that, you will not be allowed to admit those claims. So remember to always renew on time. So then I discussed this 24-hour hospitalization myth. This is actually a no-brainer now, because most of the companies are offering without this 24-hour hospitalization. So they cover usually 20 to 50 daycare facilities or hospitalization where it is less than 24 hours, and all those things are covered. So even there is a list of, on HDFC Suraksha plan, there is a list of 100 treatments which are done within few hours, and there's a huge list of that. And of course, insurer and drainage is also a part of that for a small procedure. So like cataract, lithography, dialysis, tonsil surgery, chemotherapy, all those are now called daycare treatments. And almost every insurance company now allows that without the 24-hour thing. And but still people have this mindset. Even still people ask me, 2 weeks back also a patient asked me about this aspect, कि ये dental cover होता है, hospitalization कर सकते हो आप? So this is the thing. So I basically debunked his myth first, and then I told him the dental, etc., will not, any procedure will not require you to be hospitalized. So daycare procedures are covered, and even your OPD insurances, as I mentioned at the start of today's presentation, your consultation, your ambulance, your Ayurvedic, and even Unani expenses are covered under a health insurance. It is not only the allopathic, but the Ayush treatments are also covered under the daycare or hospitalization or OPD insurance. So whatever it is, do read your policy document. Again, it will come down to what you have the contract with the company. So whatever contract is there, and whatever is there in your policy documents, that only will be applicable to you. So read the offer document carefully before you sign on the dotted line. Then myth number 8, a policy with more daycare procedure is good. I discussed this aspect in respect to network hospitals. Somebody having a list of 6,900 hospitals, somebody having a list of 7,000 hospitals. Maybe those 100 hospitals which are missing may actually are the ones which are good ones. So it is all a misconception. The quality does matter as well along with quantity. So if it is a reputed company, surely your network, your city's good hospital would be in that list. Usually these days, any hospital, any corporate hospital will not survive because of lack of work, because of those things. Then one myth, which point which I didn't discuss in the whole these 2.5 sessions till now, that I smoke. I hope none of you is doing it. We dentists know understand the benefits or so drawbacks of tobacco and smoking. So if any one of you is a smoker, or maybe have a myth that I am a smoker, so I won't get a health insurance. No, smoking and alcohol actually will increase your premium. They'll make you prone to health diseases. The company might make you undergo a few pre-health checkup tests, and you need to pay a higher premium, but you still would be or can be covered in a health insurance policy. So 49%, according to a survey, 49% of the individuals were actually not sure whether they are eligible for a healthcare plan or not. And that is a very surprising thing. Again, like the 24-hour thing, it is a process which actually needs an attention that yes, the health checkup might be required. There might be a stringent one, premium might be higher, but they still would be covered in that. So myth number 10, having a number of network hospitals. I mentioned no doubt the number is going to be good, but yes, keep on checking the list because these lists vary or undergoes change every year. Maybe next year you bought a policy, maybe next year your preferred hospital is not in that list. So don't choose a policy based only on network hospital. I told you, pick up your favorite 6 or 7 factors out of those 15 which apply to your unique condition, and then go ahead. So people will actually this is the second thing actually which is promoted along with the low premium. Insurance premiums starting from 400 rupees a month, network list of 7,000 hospitals, 8,000 hospitals, 8,000 plus hospitals. This is the second thing which is promoted by the healthcare companies. यार 7,000 hospital है यार, अपना hospital तो cover होगा ही. Imagine it is a huge country. There are so many towns, tier 1, 2, 3, 4. There are crores of villages in India. So you need to make sure that your hospital is surely in that list. Otherwise, you have to spend first and then apply for your claim later on. So again, the hospital, those hospitals, are they covering the daycare procedures as well? There is a separate list as well, those who are offering daycare and those who are not offering daycare. If you segregate further, some companies would offer you that. So if you bought a policy and you thought, oh, ye to galat ho gaya, there is nothing wrong in it, and my daycare procedures are not covered. We have to go to doctors every day, every month or so for my family or for my parents or for my spouse, whatever reason. So you can opt for a return of the policy in the free look period of 15 days. So then myth number 11, cashless is available at all hospitals. Cashless is available only at network hospitals. I hope you know that by now. So still non-network would be covered, but then that has to be later insured from the insurer. So we all believe that cashless can ease all your worries. Not entirely true, but cashless payments are dependent on a few factors. So your hospital network should be a partner of that insurance company. And the second scenario in a cashless thing is that not all hospitals would work 24/7. Yes, most of the tier 1, 2 cities usually have a help desk where the things are happening, but the reception help desk and the insurance help desk are different things. Even if it is a network hospital, even if it falls in your list, even if it is a cashless, if you had a problem in the middle of the night and you took your family member there, the insurance guy will not be there 24/7. So maybe you have to do the initial formalities from your pocket and then settle with your insurer later on. Because some desks will not be open 24/7, 365. So make sure if the desk is not operational, you have to make the payment. But of course, you can settle the same with the insurer later. You'll get the receipt from the hospital. There is no doubt about it. So nothing to worry on that account. So always keep this into account. Network hospital does not mean always free and 100% free and 24 hours free. So these are a few myths which people have. So happy to debunk that. So then health insurance pays the entire hospital bill. You know it by now. There are a lot of things which are not covered. There will be limits. Then even in the COVID plans I mentioned, there are PP kits were not covered. Even for the consumables like thermometer, oxygen mask, nylon gloves, face mask, crepe bandage, they don't cover such coverage like consumables. So they have some companies would have predefined sub limits. They're all mentioned in the policy document. So then the room rent cap is there. Some would not have it, but then some would have it. So let's understand the room rent cap once again. Those who are still not clear. So let's suppose your sum insured is 5 lakh. Usually it is capped at 1 lakh. So that would mean your rent is capped at 5,000 per day. If you take a room of 6,000, Dr. Rishabh gave an example that if you took a room, your room is not available for 10,000. If the cap is 10,000, so if let's suppose your cap is 5,000, the 5,000 room is not available in the hospital. So you have no option but to take a room of 6,000 rupees. So in that case, you have to pay the difference 1,000 from your own pocket, and the 5,000 will be paid by your company. But then as you opt for the higher room, the other expenses also increase. So know the non-admissible list of expenses right from the beginning. Certain medicines can also be excluded from the list, but everything would be mentioned in the policy document. The only thing is, barik likha hota hum padhte nahi. So it is often assumed, or kai bari mail pe aata hai, it is not sent in physical sometimes. So we hardly open up our mail. Mail pe koi mail is one thing which is again like WhatsApp. Usually in today's times, we are not suffering from lack of information. We're actually suffering from overwhelming amount of information or an information overload. Ask yourself how many unread messages in your current WhatsApp are there. You if you're not using them for a communication medium, what is the use of such communication? And similarly applies to the email as well. So if you have a cover amount, your exclusions, your deductibles, your co-payment clause, your certain things would not be covered, and you should be aware of them. So for those things which are not covered, you have to pay. The rest would be paid by the company. The sublimits of the procedures, as I mentioned about the hernia also, you might have undergone the operation, or the total bill might be 5 lakhs. But if the company has a set limit of hernia operation at 40,000, they'll pay you 40,000, and the remaining, of course, maybe add the room and the other expenses, 50,000 more. You will be reimbursed only 90,000 out of those 5 lakhs if your total bill was rupees 5 lakhs. So myth number 13, no health insurance provides maternity coverage. Again, this was true till 2014 or 15. After that, maternity benefits have been added very, very strongly in this. Rather, they have become the selling point as well. But there are some conditions vary from company to company. What are those? So coverage sometimes available for first pregnancy only, maybe maximum of 2 deliveries. Some will cover only normal, some will cover only cesarean, some will cover both. So then a waiting period, as I mentioned, 2 to 3 years. That is the reason I advise you, those of you who are young and unmarried, can opt for this thing. That if you, or maybe just married and starting to plan a family in 2 to 3 years time, you can opt for a policy with a maternity benefit. So make sure that what the things are covered, especially pre and post hospitalization. The daycare charges should be covered, because pregnancy is an expensive sojourn. Right from the first month, when you come to know, when you miss your period, you come to know, until the journey of 9 months. Those 8 months involve multiple visits, multiple diagnostics, multiple tests, multiple scans. We all know it is not a cheap expense. So make sure that your company is covering those things. So many companies are offering many things now, and many hospitals are also actually linked to that. So make sure that you read the offer document and suit for and choose a suitable plan which suits your needs in this regard. So then myth number 14, a cheap policy is the best policy. Cost. See, even the myth has come at number 14. It is not in the top 3. People, some people would buy the policy for the sake of a policy. Some people would buy for the sake of Health insurance, health insurance deduction, Section 80D. Some will really buy it for the reasons I've given multiple times now. So make a decision based on that. So if you are not actually very happy with the high premium, opt for a low coverage along with the top up and a super top up plan. So make sure that. Then buying health insurance is not safe. Rather, it is much safer. You have no agents, no commissions, and the same benefit is passed to the customers by the company. But and even the documents are shared online. You can upload them online. So everything is done online, and you can be assured that the process is also expedited in a faster manner. So everything is just a click away. You can have all the information exchange online. In COVID times, it is more so being done online. So queries are addressed fastly as well. So it just can take about 10 minutes to buy your convenient option online. So, and these are the order of the day today, because the terms and conditions and benefits are very much clear online, and people don't go into or wait for the physical document to arrive. And then there is a clash कि नहीं, जब मेरे को आया document तब 15 दिन नहीं हुए थे free look-in के या हो गए थे. All those things can be eliminated from this part. All those points of fight can be related to that. So a similar point to myth number 15, online, an agent will get you the best policy. I don't believe that unless the agent is a real known one. And if it is a real known one, and if he suggests you a policy, if you ask for a policy, he suggests you a policy, is your relative, it will be very tricky situation for you to refuse if you are not actually very happy. And vice versa, if the agent is not qualified enough or having good enough knowledge, and trust me, I believe that you all are good enough to become insurance agents from today. The jokes, don't take that in a serious way, but in the way, the amount of knowledge you have gotten from these 3 sessions, trust me, many of you would be having a knowledge more than the insurance agent, that you can guide people. And that is what is my aim, is to spread awareness about this topic, which is very, very rarely discussed. So the agent might have his commission in mind and not your best interest in mind. So if he is not able to get you a good coverage, he's not able to put across all these points that आप खुद सोच के देखो, जो मैं आपको 6 घंटे में समझा रहा हूँ, can any agent or will you have the patience to spend 6 hours with that agent, or that agent will have the 6 hours to spend with you to get a hang of all these concepts very, very clearly? I hope not. So you make sure that you don't actually rush through an agent to buy the policy, and do your own research first. So myth number 17, I mentioned policy documents can be destroyed after expiry of 1 year. The next year, new documents are there, so you can destroy them. No. I mentioned many companies have changed. SDFC Argo merger, Apollo Munich merger, Apollo DKV merger, and then Apollo Munich merging into SDFC Argo. There are 2 more plans which I'll be discussing, which actually change names. So a new TPA will not know what your contract was. So sometimes the data scattered claims are there. So TPS would, the TPA means the third party administrators. So the third party administrator would ask for your previous policy year copies, which are the clauses that you were being covered as per the IRDAI guidelines. The new, even if the merger of the companies has happened, the new insurance has to oblige you with your existing terms and conditions, even if they are not offering the same plan in their own company or not. So then both health insurance and critical illness insurance are same. At least these are 2 different things now. Critical illness is for 3 to 37 diseases, heart issues, cancer, diabetes, stroke. All these we have discussed separately in a complete session that is there on YouTube. Went live last Sunday only, so you can watch it. You know what exactly critical illness entails. It awards you lump sum amount in one go, so you can do that. So then 19th myth, health insurance is only a tax saving tool. Section 80D only. So yes, it is not. It is an additional benefit, but it is not, and it should be not the only benefit that you are actually going in for. So you can save more than tax. You can actually be insured against the medical catastrophe, and make sure that you actually purchase a policy not just for tax benefit, but for the purpose of avoiding any surprises at the time of claim. So the last myth number 20, all health insurance policies offer lifetime coverage. So most of them will offer before you, provided you renew the policy, but usually the health insurance is for a 1 year or a 2 year term. You can't take it like say unlimited plan ki aap 20 saal ki policy खरीद लो. It is not possible. These premiums have to be paid every year, or maybe once in 2 years. So it is important to renew the policy to actually enjoy the coverage. So make sure that you renew it on time. So there are various myths. I've tried to cover more than 20 myths, combining a few of them all together as well. So I hope these should actually lift any kind of embargo if there is on your minds regarding the health insurance parts. Then a few facts which I did not cover in the basics till now, I've covered, like the smoking part or the details of the maternity part. I've covered in there only. So I hope you're aware of these. Do not believe any such misinformation in future, because the costs are going high. Offer document is to be read very, very carefully, and obviously search for the health policies online and choose one that is the best suitable for you and your family. So these was all about the myths and the health insurance. So we are going into the last section for today, along with the practical scenario and along with the undiscussed part. As I mentioned, top up and super top up was discussed. COVID policies, of course, are to be discussed. I'll be discussing those things. So conclusion is that the policy terms and conditions may keep on changing, and cashless may not be the ultimate solution every time. So be in sync with your healthcare needs, lifestyle and financial capacity, and because that is the need of the hour. So let's go to the next section. You can actually, what about a COVID-19 purchasing plan? I think this is a misplaced slide. This has to be at the other end. Never mind. COVID-19 is after this section. So it brings to me to my favorite topic, my favorite slide, the data collection. So we talked about claim settlement ratio, what exactly it is. Just try to see and understand this chart. Obviously, I'm placing it for a longer duration than 2-3 seconds. You'll get this chart for 20-30 seconds. So number of policies, 2,700. Leave aside the benefit amount for a moment. Number of policies which are claim paid. Claims received, 2,700. Policies, 2,675. Then the claim settlement percentage of benefit amount, which was there, 96%. The claim settlement of policies is not important. Of course, that is also important, but then all are in the 90s. So claim settlement percentage of the benefit amount is more important. So this is the CSR, claim settlement ratio, which is as per the latest IRDAI data, which is there. So this is available for various companies. You can freeze the video as this chart. Yes, ING Vaishya is now known as Exide Life. Another policy which I mentioned, Religare is now known as Care Health Insurance. So all those things are now changing. IDBI Federal have parted ways now. So Edelweiss and Tokyo IFCO have merged now. So these things will keep on happening. Reliance and Nippon have also merged. Reliance actually exited from the mutual fund industry, and Nippon took over it as well. So this is the ratio. You need to see the number of policies and the number of claims received, number of claims paid, claim settlement ratio, and the claim settlement of the benefit amount, average claim settlement amount. See and those parts. So now again, if we look at it in a company-wise scenario, I'm giving you HDFC My Health Suraksha. This is one of the preferred plans. I told you one of my favorite plans. So the rest is not to be said, but yes, this is one of my favorite plans. This plan was from Apollo Munich, which was taken over by HDFC Ogo, still being offered. Optima Restore, very favorite plan. So the claim ratio, this is the Star Family Health Insurance, 65%. Care Health, which was earlier Religare. So United India, Bajaj Alliance, Chola Health, Manipal Signas, Aditya Birla. So once you go through these slides again, you can freeze your presentation at this and check out for this. Again, 10,000 plus network hospital, 10,000, 45, 5,000, 7,000. This is also sold as a differentiator. So freeze it and check out the data yourself. Then for other policies, IFCO Tokyo, Royal Sundaram, Universal Sompo, Bharti AXA, all those numbers are there. Reliance is now Nippon Critical Illness, Max Bupa, Liberty Health, National Parivar Mediclaim, Tata AIG, Edelweiss Healthcare, Raheja QB Healthcare Plan. So this was last updated on 15th of April 2021. So this is the latest data. So let me give you now a differential company wise, which might be available. Care Health or Religare plans. NCB Super Premium is the plan name, starting at 435 per month. Bonus no claim, and all the details you can check. These all things would be available on Policy Bazaar and Bank Bazaar as well. .com, those sites which offer these things. Maxa Health Companion, all plans starting at 566 per month. Hospital room eligibility, all categories except suite and above. Star Health Medi Classic, your room eligibility up to 5,000 cab, starting at 619 per day. So even in this, the 5% increase in sum assured under the NCB. So they won't give a cashback, they will increase the sum assured, as I showed you the chart yesterday night. So Aditya Birla Active Assured Diamond, Digit Super Care. These are the shortlisted plans by me, which you might find suitable. So what you have to do as your research is, you know the factors by now, pick up the plan name, whatever you feel, according to the list of the claim settlement and the ICR, incurred claim ratio. The second thing which I have not discussed other than the top up and the super top up, I'll give you that data as well. So check out those lists and pick up the plan name, or maybe you can check up the most common ones, Optima Restore, HDFC Suraksha as well. So pick up the plan name and then search further in that plan name, because even a single company would be coming with lot many plans. हर company का एक plan नहीं होता, they have so many plans. So search for those plans. Maybe you can find something useful. Tata AIG, maybe it was at a lower segment in the claim settled ratio, still in the 90s, but in the incurred claim ratio, it is at one of the highest spots. The policy is Medicare Protect. Royal Sundaram comes the Lifeline Supreme. Universal Sompo comes with the Complete Healthcare Insurance Essential Plan. All those plans, the rates are not much different. They would hardly make a difference of a few thousands only. And these are the rates usually for a 30-year non-smoker female in the particular level of city. They are all based on that. Then Liberty General Insurance Basic Plan, Oriental Individual Mediclaim Policy, Kotak General Health Insurance. Kotak has the least incurred claim ratio. बेचारों की policy को लेता ही नहीं. So you'll see in the ICR part, they have very less claims and very less policy. And of course, one of the very common ones, I have a plan from Future Generali with me. So not this policy, but another one. So Future Generali Health Total Vital. So it is an endowment plan, of course, not the healthcare plan. So it is one of the good companies offering you good customer care feedback. I'm happy with the relationship with them. So this was the thing which I didn't discuss, incurred claim ratio. Try to understand this chart very carefully. Below, above is the list of the Sarkari companies, government companies. Below is the list of private companies. Net earned premium via what you paid to them in crores, 3621. The claims paid back, 3898. So you will say that yes, the company is good. It has a good ICR, 107% above 100. ICR does not matter. ICR mein there are 2-3 factors in it. If the claims incurred are more sometimes, so that means the genuinely company has honored. If the claims incurred are less also, see for the private, except for IFCO Tokyo, all are less than 100. But the private players are more in the market. They are selling more policies, in not in numbers, but otherwise. Even SBI is a Sarkari one, but still it is in the private list. See the number of policies in crores it is sending. Yes, you will find this numbers higher, but then they have very less restrictive clauses. They have lesser sublimit things, but their plan process is very tedious. They have a lesser network list. Their system works on non-cashless claims mostly. They are still not grown with the changing times, and most of them would not be giving you all the details online, most of them. So I mentioned about Kotak, I guess. See, 37 and 17.8. There might be a factor in this that the customers applied for the claims and those claims were not honored. Probably they had a concealing of information in that regard. And this is the claim ratio given, ICR given for 2018 and 19. You can compare it with the benchmark of the previous financial year, how they actually grew or say gone back a step in that regard. So ICR is another thing which you need to take care as well. Again, not the only thing, but look at the thing. If a Raheja QB is suppose offering you a good plan, just see their incurred claim ratio. It is pretty less, 30%, one of the lowest in the business, or rather the lowest in the business from the companies there. And 13 lakh were applied, and only 4 lakh claims were 4 lakh rupees or were claim was given. This the number is in crores. So 0.04 means 4 lakhs here. So you need to make sure that you are aware of ratio as well. I'm giving you this slide for a good amount of time. You can freeze it and actually have a look at it. So now I'll give you the ratio I gave you here. Now I'm giving you a split ratio, incurred claim ratio for different companies in a different mode, along with the network hospital list. You can compare the same via the claim settlement ratio also, which I gave you just before a few slides back. Bharti AXA, Bajaj Alliance, Care Health, formerly known as Religare, Cholamandalam, MS Health Insurance. This is incurred claim ratio. This is their network hospital list. So Digit Health Insurance, 11% of claim ratio, 5900 plus. Edelweiss, 115. Future Generali, 73. IFCO Tokyo, 102. Kotak Mahindra, 47. Liberty, 82. Max Pupa, 54. See the number of network hospitals as well. So Manipal Cigna, National Health Insurance, New India Health Insurance, Oriental, Raheja, Royal Sundaram Health Insurance. See the incurred claim ratio, see the network hospital list. Very surprising to find a national health insurance with 6,000 plus hospitals. New India, of course, understandable, 3,000 only. Reja Group has a very low tie-up. So obviously, remember, if the private players are offering with many hospitals, they have to keep a tie-up of all these documents, all these personnel. There's a separate department which is dedicated to there. Let's suppose 10 patients walked in today, all from different companies. So all those executives have to be at work with the hospital to do the paperwork in that regard. So this was the incurred claim ratio wise and the network hospital list. Again, the bottom line. What are the best health insurance plans in India? Again, from all the list, I have concised it to top 5 to basically simplify your search. Apollo Munich, of course, available under HDFC Ergo only now, but the plans which are available under Apollo Munich will be available separately, like Apollo Optima Restore or another Optima. One more was there, I forgot the name. So Bajaj Alliance, Max Bupa, Religare, now Care Health, now HDFC Ergo. So look out for the plan names which are there. I gave you 2 very common names, Health Suraksha and Optima Restore. Do search these out. These are good plans, and surely you will find something useful accordingly. So what is the premium? What is the sum insured? Accordingly, what is the entry level age for a floater, for an individual, for what is the renewal limit? All those details. Find the plan name and search accordingly. Tally this plan name with the incurred claim ratio list I gave you, and in the separate small snippets of the plans that I gave you. Whatever plan suits you, do your own research, keeping those 15 factors in mind, keeping those other factors in mind that I have discussed with you. I hope you will find these things useful. This slide was wrongly shared in presentation 1 as well, but this is actually needed here. So again, what are the commonest plans for health insurance for a male non-smoker 30 years? Sum insured 10 lakhs. Religare or Care Health would give you NCB Super Premium Plan. This plan we discussed, one of the commonest plans, 9092. Star Health only deals in health insurance. Mediclassic Plan, Max Pupa Health Pulse Enhanced, and Apollo Munica Optima Restore, and HDFC Ago My Health Suraksha Gold Smart. Suraksha has 2-3 variants. Gold Smart is one of them. So of course, the higher premium the branded company would charge, it's worth surely. So if the prices increase, because they keep on increasing with the inflation, sometimes there is a news that health plans are going to increase. So what would be the expected raise in the charges of the plans that I discussed just now? So just to give you an idea how much the raise can actually affect you. So that brings me to the last topic before the summary and the conclusion, the COVID health policy. Again, this will have a lot of pictorials, and there was a question last night also, which is not covered, which are covered. I'll try to give you in a diagrammatic presentation. I hope you get home what exactly is needed. So usually the 3 policies which are available are the Corona Kavach policy, Corona Rakshak policy, and the coronavirus group health insurance. So the Corona Kavach was the standard health insurance plan. Usually that was covering now the cost of PPE as well, the ambulance charges, home care cost, medicine, gloves, all those things which are incurred. And the sum insured is from 50,000 to 5 lakh. And usually the premium was there at 1%. So for a 50,000 coverage, you need to pay a premium of close to 450 rupees. From the Reliance policy was there in that regard. So Corona Rakshak was a similar plan. It pays for a hospitalization of minimum 72 hours and covers for nebulizers, oxygen cylinders, oximeters, IU's treatment, and all those things as well. So the coverage is from 2.5 to 5 lakhs. So even the comorbidity guys can get a premium, can get a policy by paying a little bit extra of premium. Then the employers were actually required to take a coronavirus group health insurance policy as well. So for their organizations, and many did opt for the same. So what are the inclusions? What are the standard covers? Let's see it list wise. The important covers should be inpatient hospitalization, pre-hospitalization, critical illness, accidental hospitalization, and daycare procedures. So the standard covers road ambulance, ICU room rent, organ donor expenses, especially plasma, if somebody is charging for that. So daily hospital cash, home hospitalization, post-hospitalization expenses, alternate treatment, and recovery benefits. And add-on covers if the pregnant women are affected with corona, the maternity benefit with a newborn baby cover as well. So what are the key benefits? We all know coronavirus treatment is covered, home treatment is covered, consumable expenses are covered for a change. Initially, they were not. Co-payment is not there age-based. In most of the plans, comorbidity does charge you extra, but copay is not available in COVID plans. Cashless treatment is available. Add-on covers are available in these policies. What are the exclusions? Home quarantine. If you are infected and you don't have much symptoms in your home quarantine, you want to claim, that will not be covered in almost all the policies. Then if you are covered in a quarantine center and it is not a government recognized one, it is not in the list of government, you will not be covered in that. Then a pre-existing diseases, again, the waiting period comes to play. The prenatal and postnatal for the kids, newborn kids, that are not covered. Then hospitalization without the doctor's recommendation. People are so fearful of corona these days. If they're infected, this immediately go to the hospital and get admitted themselves. If it is without the recommendation of a doctor, you will not be covered under that health insurance. So what pays your health COVID policy coverage? Hospital bills are covered up to your sum insured. It can be network hospital. If it is a network hospital, can be cashless also. So the insurer will reimburse your charges, and they can obviously reject your claims for the factors I mentioned, the exclusion factors that are there. Some companies will not allow PP kits, or maybe they'll allow to a certain limit, depending upon the policy or the sum insured. Then private nurses are not allowed. Housekeeping, infection control, sometimes not allowed. Or if they are added in the room charges as well. So if sanitization of the room is carried out every day, if you have so many visitors, so that thing, again, those things. So what are the most commonest reasons for disputes? So usually the dispute is if the patient is young, not comorbid, and has mild symptoms. So that means he's quarantining at home. So then claims of senior citizens also can be approved for mild symptoms as well. So not payable if the COVID-19 specific policy is not there. Policy is COVID-19 specific for, despite COVID-19 negative, despite symptoms. So that will not be payable. So, and if the medical management is for the reasons other than COVID, then that will be covered under your normal policy, not under your COVID policy. But then if your cashless insurer denies you claim, you can actually, you have so many steps to go ahead. And IRDI website, I gave you the link in the group today itself. So you can go to the site, file your complaint with the insurance ombudsman, which is like a third umpire, as we know that. So insurance ombudsman is there. Number one, if your claim is rejected, complain to your insurer, then escalate to your senior company officers. And the third step would be to IRDI. And the fourth, not responded within 30 days from IRDI, go to the insurance ombudsman. So then even if that doesn't respond, usually the ombudsman will not be needed. IRDI will respond itself. By chance it does not, the number 4 will respond. A rare case scenario, the 4 does not respond, the consumer court is always an option available for you. So one of the commonest policies which actually gained quite favor was the Corona Kavach policy by Reliance General. Usually was offered at 1% of the premium. 50,000 was covered at 452 rupees. So the coverage started the day you're diagnosed, but then this has a waiting period of 15 days initially. So some insured range from 50,000 to 5 lakhs. So policy period was 3.5 months, 6.5 months, and 9.5 months. It came in days, 105 days, 195 days, 285 days. 15 days waiting period was there. Eligibility was 1 day child to 25 years, or adult was 18 years to 65 years. So it depends upon what exactly was covered. So what was the base covers in the policy? So room, boarding, nursing expenses, surgeon charges, anesthetist, specialist fees, then anesthesia, blood oxygen, operation theater, any kind of PPE kits, gloves, masks, all those were covered. Then ICU expenses, then road ambulance capped at 2,000 per hospitalization. So all these were covered in the Reliance General or the Reliance Nippon Health Insurance in the Corona Kavach policy, one of the favorite policies in today's times. So then home care treatment cover, what was allowed as 14-day from the policy, medicines which were given to you in writing by the doctors, diagnostic tests, consultation charges, any nursing charges, and if you had to purchase the oximeter, cylinder, nebulizer to be kept at home for continuation of the care, then it was covered. Ayush treatment, as I mentioned, not only allopathic, but all the Ayush treatments were also, if you are fond of taking a Giloy also, you were covered for those expenses also. So the pre-hospitalization covered were incurred up to 15 days. Pre-hospitalization was covered. Post-hospitalization up to 30 days was covered. So plus the your stay of the hospital, let's suppose it was maybe 10 to 15 days. So total of 60 days coverage was there. You can opt for an add-on cover as well. What did that allow? It was a hospital daily cash cover. Sometimes a daily cash cover for the recuperation, what you are actually expending on your recuperation in the hospital, on your diet, on your other things in the hospital, that was given as a daily cash payout as well in your policy. So these are separate covers as well available. So you can take because the COVID scare is yet not over, and God forbid there is a third wave that is supposed to be more dangerous than the second wave. So what are the exclusions of this Corona Kavach policies? Treatment taken for any pre-existing disease, traveling to any restricted countries which are not allowed. Obviously, presently India is a restricted country, and all the countries have banned traveling to India. So for going from India is out of question now. So diagnosis done at the unauthorized centers. So diagnosis taken outside India, treatment taken outside India. Expenses on daycare and OPD. So claims related to COVID where diagnosis is from the policy start date, and dietary supplements purchased without prescription, expenses for unproven treatments, जो भी WhatsApp यूनिवर्सिटी या Facebook colleges पे मिलते हैं. So we all need to be aware of those things which are not covered under these exclusions. So this is a list. I hope this should settle. Then I mentioned about the Suraksha plan, the HDFC Agro Suraksha plan which is there for COVID, the Gold Smart plan, or I don't remember the name. But yes, sir, there is a COVID separate plan. There is a no room rent capping on that. There is a wide network of cashless hospitals. We all know HDFC is the biggest private group, so 10,000 plus hospitals. A lot of happy customers and immediate claim settlements. They actually pride themselves in that. A lot of HDFC services are pretty good. So that is why it is the biggest private sector bank in India. So this is all about the COVID-19 insurance. So let's get down to the summary for the day. So there are a few factors we need to take into account, and I'll wind up in 10-15 minutes from now before I take up the queries. So in today's times, it's absolutely necessary, and the earlier you buy it at a younger age, the cheaper you get it. So there are a lot many riders, terms, conditions. I hope you're clear of all of them by now, and the number of the participants is now from 13, it has gone down to 8. So people are either hungry or are bored. So with the rising cost of medical treatments, it becomes an absolute must for you to have a health insurance. I really wish none of you falls ill, but if you do, it may wipe off all your savings. So if those who don't have it, please start the research tomorrow. Look at the maximum amount covered, critical illness cover, sub limits on room rent. Also look at the plan which gives you NCB. Obviously increases the covered amount as well. So health insurance is must for all. Otherwise, it can burn a huge hole into your pocket. And only a corporate policy is not good enough. An individual or a floater policy is a must. Read the offer document carefully. That is very important. And minimum premium should not be the only criteria. Always check the list of cashless hospitals and have a comprehensive understanding, and don't treat it as a trivial matter. And because many things can be misguiding to you if you don't pay attention. Because the main problem again, like most of the thing, is that lack of financial knowledge or lack of awareness and knowledge. Again, ignorance will never be a bliss for anyone. So let's look at those 5 factors again. Along with top up, super top up, ICR, and of course the third thing which I'm going to take up a little bit in depth in the summary part, which I have not taken, did mention in the terminology, domiciliary hospitalization. That is again a very important part of today's health insurance. I'll be taking up that factor in this. So I did take up introduction about that. You got an idea what it is. Obviously, you didn't have any idea about the top up and the ICR, those who didn't know. But domiciliary, you'll be getting to know in depth in there. So I always say that if you enter early, you can actually get a higher range for renewal as well. So maximum age limit, maximum by a few companies is up to 80 or 90 as well. So, but for the customers, the entry age limit can be a problem. We saw that the age limit varies from 18 to 60 for many companies, but it can give to the loyal customers a lifelong renewal feature as well. Then one of the underused features, which is actually people are not aware of it, along with domiciliary, is the medical concierge facility. So this is kind of a professional assistance when you are actually having a medical emergency or a treatment. You can be provided with a contact list of medical practitioners, your professionals. Appointments can be made by the company. They can support to help you settling bills, procure you medicines, and several other services which can give you easier path to go. So medical concierge facility is a facility which is offered by a very limited companies only. So, but this is an extremely helpful service. But again, due to lack of awareness, people have not been able to use it. So then we discussed about the loading charge as well. So some companies do provide the NCB, but then they start with a loading charge that is included in premium amount at the time of policy renewal. So if you can actually, if most of the companies don't charge it, but some do charge it. So look out for those companies who actually charge you to, or those who don't can provide you with a free of these facilities, the free of any kind of a loading charge, even if the insurer has made a claim or not, even the previous tenure of the policy. So then the top ups, we discussed that top ups can actually bring down your premium, but then you have to pick that keeping in mind your health history, your family history, your medical background, your pre-existing illness and all those things. But sometimes top up will be allowed without not allowed without a medical checkup. You would be required to undergo that. And the last factor in this is domiciliary hospitalization, that I'll be giving 2-3 slides to it. So we all know that illness can strike anytime, but then sometimes getting to hospital will not be possible, as it is happening in Delhi and Maharashtra also. There are no beds only, of course. Then with the doctor's approval, you can be treated at home with nursing, medical assistant, medicines, and other necessities. And all those things would be, if your insurance company is offering you domiciliary hospitalization, those things will surely be covered under those, even if you're taking a care at home, especially for the COVID facilities. There are many people who don't have even moderate symptoms. They have mild to moderate, or maybe in that their saturation is not much affected. They don't have, otherwise they are not much febrile. So in those cases, it is advised that they stay at home and follow the domiciliary hospitalization. But then again, this has to be recommended by a specialist, by the companies. Do not use this on your own. So people actually don't have this knowledge. They believe that yeah, this will not be covered. In today's times, along with the certain myths, domiciliary is a part of the packages of most of the companies. So take advantage of this, and it makes sense also. Rather than panicking and rushing to hospital, trust me, this is a situation which you can do and treat at home as well. So many policies have come up with these plans in the previous 3 to 4 years, or 5 years, in fact. And in today's times, when many patients are being turned away because of shortage of oxygen, medicines, beds, we all know. So domiciliary, you have no choice but to opt for. So it is not about a recommendation; it is about a choice as well. It is about no choice as well. So you have to get treated at home. But of course, if it is a recommended one, the same expenditure would be covered by your health insurance company. So yes, cashless claim will not be there. You will have to say then claim for the company reimbursement part, but then there is nothing wrong in that. Why do domiciliary hospitalization has to be resorted to? Number one, shortage of beds, which is the situation in India right now. Then maybe a comorbid patient can't come to the hospital. Then the hospital can come home, of course, in such cases. And then the third case is the doctor says, आप hospital आके आप infect होने का और chance है. Yes, we all know it is a nosocomial environment. There is a good chance of being infected. So they might advise you actually to get quarantine, or maybe get home treated in the form of domiciliary reimbursement, domiciliary hospitalization. So there are limits for such reimbursements. Again, if there are sub limits for medicines, sub limits for such maybe nurse charges, sub limit for oxygen charges, then those things would not be covered. Don't expect the hospital to pay for your bedroom as your room rent. So you can't charge for that room rent in your domiciliary hospitalization. So other things would be covered, but not at least the room rent. So some insurance, some would cover the complete amount, but then some would cover 10% of the sum insured in the domiciliary. Again, the policy document will hold the key to such diseases, such clauses of the company, whatever it is offering. So even if your current company is not offering it, you can port your policy to another provider. Porting is possible, and then you can actually upgrade it with the newer feature what you are having in today's policy. So obviously all the good known policies, the list of 5 policies that I gave you are covering these things. The 5 policy lists which I gave you are covering domiciliary hospitalization for sure. So you need to make sure that those is there in your list as well, because otherwise it is not a default thing. This is used as a differentiation factor. So don't treat it at your own. Have a recommendation from a doctor, then only you will be allowed for a claim. So, and lower sublimit, or maybe say lower premium, you may have to go in for the higher sum insured, because there is a cap on the limit of the domiciliary by many companies. So let me give you again the data part. The premium for 40-year-old male, not the 30, but this time 40-year-old male, for the companies which are giving you domiciliary hospitalization feature. Care Health Insurance or Religare, treatment done at home up to 20,000 for Using Ayush, the premium 9,000. Again, this is the policy which includes domiciliary hospitalization. It is not only for domiciliation. The sum insured is 10 lakh. In this 10 lakh coverage, uh, sorry, in this coverage, they are actually giving you the other hospitalization as well, but this is an additional feature. This is not only a DH policy. This is a policy with DH feature included. So care health policy, premium almost we saw for 30 for year old, it was in the range of this amount only. In this, up to 20,000 is covered. In Max Bupa, up to sum insured for is covered at home for that, which is a big thing. But then the premium goes very high. So then Abhi Active Assured Diamond up to 20,000, HLV's plan up to sum insured. Reheja doesn't cover. Universal Sompo up to sum insured. Manipal Signa up to sum insured for utilizing. But those who are allowing up to sum insured obviously know that you are not going to use a major amount for home hospitalization, because there will be, again, what can you have? A nursing facility, a doctor visiting you, medicines, a physiotherapy, maybe an oxygen cylinder, maybe some other gadgets associated with that, maybe other kits in today's times. So what would be the maximum expenditure? But the companies are actually buying in almost say 25% more in their premium. Some are buying even 30% more if you look at the basic plans. So some why we saw the Reheja in that list of least preferred ones, the claim settlement ratio. We saw that premium might be on the lower side, but then the network ratio is very less. Network hospital list is very small, and the income ratio was less, CS ratio was less. So then Tata AIG plan, 11,671, SBI Arogya Premier, Royal Sundaram, Reliance General Health Insurance, Health Infinity Plan, again one of the very good plans of general insurance. So again, up to sum insured. Again, you can freeze this chart to get a knowledge of what exactly things are covered for you and what not. So Oriental Insurance, Magma, HDI, Cholamandalam, Future Generally, all those data I've given you. You can freeze these slides and actually get a hang of what you want to see in these policies for you. So how does a health insurance policy work? We know hospitalization, bill generation, out-of-pocket expenses, and balance expenses paid by the insurer. So policy exploration, premium payment, policy issuance, and renewal. And this, from policy issuance, this is the process. This is the claim life cycle, or we call it the CLC, the claim life cycle. This is the way. So if you're not happy here, you can actually opt for policy renewal, or you can port it out to another provider. So as per your listing. So finally, last section, carry home Gyan for today. A few last slides, and we'll be on time to finish in less than 2 hours. Yes. So have your medical expenses paid. Hospital cash insurance, receive a fixed amount. If it is a critical illness, receive your major chunk of amount, which we discussed in the critical illness session. Then pay the cost of any long-term medical problem. Accidental disability cover will cover you for say income, which can limit your earning capacity as well. So health insurance is one of the most significant investment. I will not call it a decision. I will call it as an investment. It is not the investment which grows, but will actually keep you secured. Not all investments are for growth. Some are for security also. So always invest which policy which give you good PCR, premium to coverage ratio, and high sum insured, either by the regular plan or regular plus top up and super top up. So a good insurance policy is there where your compensation is above 90% of your bills. So that is why the 90% claim settlement ratio will be there above the amount also, and for the policy also, and for in number of crores also, if you saw those charts earlier. So do your own research, consider those 15 aspects that I gave you while buying health insurance, and which apply more to you. I told you my 6 or 7 in that list. You can pick your 6 and 7. Obviously, no policy will have all the 15 aspects. If somebody has 15 aspects, your premium will go over the roof. But you need to draw a line somewhere. You need to understand what factors can affect you. Yes, sometimes it can be a lottery. Maybe you leave out a factor. So that is the reason I told you all to spend some time on it. I can only guide you up to a limited time. And trust me, 6 hours is good enough to guide you on this part. And I think I've done more than what I could do. So the coverage you get is sometimes not good enough for critical illness. So buy either a critical illness bundled plan or ideally buy a separate critical illness coverage plan. I hope why I took the critical illness session before, this should make some sense now. If I told you these things before and critical illness later, trust me, you would have gone bonkers. You will not have understood many things. As I deliberately delayed the top up and super top up till the third session, because I wanted you to get a hang of the basic terminology. The top ups and super top ups come much later. These are for extra coverages and not for the base policy. So you need to understand the base policy. So treatments sometimes for critical illness will not be in few days. That can be many months as well. They can drain away all your savings, like something like a cancer where you have to repeatedly go treatment for chemotherapy and all those, maybe radiotherapy also, sometimes surgical part also. So that can take up to 1 year, 1.5 years as well. So, and the recovery and the recuperation is pretty much slow many a times. So you need to make sure that you actually have a critical illness coverage separately as well. So uh, it is essential to consider all the points before you make an informed decision. And if you have a policy already with you, read your fine print. What are your inclusions, exclusions, deductibles, copay? What are your top ups? What are your coverages? What are your limits, sub limits? All those factors which I've discussed. What are the extra points that are being covered? So that if you need, you can buy a separate policy also, or maybe port your existing policy to some other provider whenever the time for renewal comes. So premiums can increase, and howsoever they can increase 5%, 10%, 15%, or maybe the third party insurance charges, whatever they increase. I've given you that comparison also. If they increase by 5% or 10 or 15%, I've given you that chart also. So always invest in a critical illness, surely, especially if you have a family history for same. So these are the few benefits of health insurance. Can be enumerated in 7 boxes, but much more than that. Tax benefits, timely medical care, longevity, financial stability, support for medical emergency, peace of mind, and family health cover. These are a very few ones, but yes, it actually gives you a lot benefit in terms of multiple aspects, that you don't have to dip into your retirement savings, don't have to break your investments for which you want to take the advantage of compounding. So these things should come to the fore. So I hope you have a fair idea of how things work, how systems are, what is there, what is not there. Read all the features, inclusions, exclusions before signing on the dotted line. And if someone asks me which is the best policy, you know why I can't give the answer in one line to that person. You have done term insurance with me, you have done critical illness with me, you have done loans with me, you have done health insurance with me. All these parts have been taken up in detail, in depth. There cannot be a one word, one line answer to these kind of queries. So the moral of the story: don't pay for hospitalization, of course, with the cashless facility, indemnity based. Cover for life threatening with your critical illness coverage plans. Get a convalescence benefit, where each, as I mentioned, the daily cash cover is being given in corona policies for daily day-to-day expenses, as an add-on cover separately. People are not aware about this convalescence benefit as well. It is also known as the daily payout cash cover, which I mentioned in the corona COVID policy. Corona coverage policy, sorry. So avail your tax benefit and safeguard your finances. Of course, Section 80D comes to your fore, and get allied benefits, free discounts, free health checkups, tie-ups with service providers. And if you have a tie-up, when you have a policy from a company, the company keeps on organizing such things for its, as a part of its CSR also, and as a part of its promotion also, so that more and more people are excited to pick up their policies. They don't just rely on the word of the mouth. External marketing works in every sphere, along with dentistry. So yes, the company is also indulgent, and existing clients do get benefited from any such health melas, health checkups, if they are organized in any hospitals. So you can be aware, you can get benefited, you can avail those facilities for free if actually you are insured under a health coverage plan. So thank you so much for a patient hearing, exactly 2 hours, and I was able to finish. So this is my YouTube channel. All these videos are on YouTube channel. There are currently 260 plus videos, a lot of short videos, a lot of long videos. and they'll stay on YouTube forever, of course. So I keep on posting videos, not 1 to 2 every week. I post 1 or 2 videos sometimes every day. You know it, since the past 1.5 2 months, this is a norm for the channel. This is my social media presence by my name, Dr. Bhavdeep. Only the page is by Dr. Bhavdeep Ahuja. So this is my phone number, email, and contact. You can get in touch with me. Most of you already are. This is my finance series. 24 parts would be there by mid of next week as well, surely. You can read these parts, the recent part from part 9 onwards to 24 till the 16 parts have been totally exclusively dedicated to mutual funds. And trust me, more than 6,000 words per issue. I have written more than 1 lakh words only on mutual funds. So you can read all of that, because if you want me to take mutual funds in a session, that will not be possible, because there are at least 12 13 more parts on mutual funds that will be taken up, because I already sent them the versions till July 2022. So even the last issue is there till the mutual funds only. So there is a lot of depth topic which cannot be covered in the sessions. Then again, certain things have to be kept for my paid versions as well. So do send me your valuable feedback. And of course, bookers and big bats both would be welcome in equal measure. If you feel you have anything to take away from these 3 sessions, from the amount of hard work I have put in, you have put in to attend, we both have done the equal amount of hard work. So if you have something to gain, do post your feedback. So I really will appreciate that. And that is my, as they say, feedback is the breakfast of champions. So that is my way to grow and judge that where I'm going wrong or where I'm going right. So thank you so much once again. And I stop my share for questions or query time. If there are any, I can see 15 messages flashing. So I can take up the queries firstly from the chat, and then I'll go with the individual messages. Okay, Dr. Divya, thank you. Network issue. Never mind, you'll get the video again to watch. So Dr. Sanjay asks, what will be the difference of premium when you take top up or super top up? Dr. Sanjay, I think I already answered this question. You have a chart where I gave the distinguishing or the features, which was actually giving you a premium difference. It was more than 60% difference when you take up the difference. So Dr. Prabji is very explained. Thank you. Thank you so much. So regarding top up policy, do the same rules apply for family floater policy? It depends upon company to company. As I said, the claim settlement is based on the policy documents, the wordings mentioned in the policy document. So they are done as per the sanctioning of that. So what your company is according to you will be mentioned in your document. If you're not happy, you can return the policy in the free look period. But if you're happy with that, you can proceed ahead. But what does the company offer you? That does vary. The companies do make complete disclosures, as I mentioned in the group. I gave you the IIDI link in the WhatsApp group, paid group today. So they make frequent disclosures regarding the same to public and to IIDI, and they have to mention certain things over there. But certain times the confusing jargon is not clear to us. So those things would be there in the offer document or the company policy. So if the disease was, Dr. Bhavna asked, if the disease was not diagnosed when policy was taken, but diagnosed later after a few years, then it should be informed to the agent and get added to a previous policy. Yes, it is there. But then again, the waiting period would apply to that hospitalization as well. For example, if it is a disease which has a waiting period of 24 months, and you took a policy, you didn't have anything for the first year, you went in for the renewal at the ending of 18 months, for example, 1.5 year, you were diagnosed with that thing, and probably you were advised hospitalization as well, so you spent a good time on that. But if it is not covered under your pre-existing, that will be covered after 24 months of that. So obviously, if you were not having that disease earlier, you will not be incurring any expenses on that also. So it is pretty much clear to that everything doesn't remain the same, and people do suffer from diseases at various spans of time. So yes, you have to mention it to your company if it is asked for, or when at the time of your renewal is there. And obviously that is a no-brainer that you should do it. Then the agent thing should go out of the window here, what I believe. So it should be a online one better one. So if the entire super top up gets exhausted, then in the next premium year, will the insured person can be covered for the same amount in the super top up? Yes, again, you have the choice to pick up the top up and super top up every year. You can take a top up and a super top up from a company. For example, you have 5, you take another 10 top up and super top up from the same company, and then you opt for a 10 lakh super top up from another company. So you want your total coverage is 25 lakhs. Even you can do that. So there is no bar in doing that. You even exhaust that, you pay the premium next year, you get the coverage for that surely. So that is not an issue. So Dr. Parul said it's true, absolutely. Agents don't have such knowledge. I happened to meet an agent I didn't even know about PPF. This is very common. We all know this thing happens. But I'm amazed at how sir got this vast knowledge. My father gave it to me through his heritage, and of course through his knowledge of being with me 24/7. Many things, and of course my MBA finance, and of course my learning all these years together, all those 4 factors. There is no one factor in that. So it must have taken centuries. नहीं, इतना बुरा नहीं हूँ मैं to gain knowledge and then compile this to us. नहीं, I'm still 44, not very old. So absolutely true, Dr. Parul. I have the same feel. Yes, thank you. So how to settle disputes or grievance with insurance companies? Dr. Kananga, I gave you the chart 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The last resort is consumer courts. The first resort is the company. So keep a record of all the communication. This is not a time to keep the record in paper mails. Resort to emails. Emails are admissible as all kind of communication evidence, even in any kind of court. So there is no issues in that. So usually the matters should finish at the 3rd step, or rarely the 4th step. You will not have to use the 5th step. The 3rd step was the IADI. The 4th step was the banking ombudsman. So you don't need to go to even the 4th one. The 3rd should resolve your problems most of the time, because that is the primary watchdog for all those things. All these regulating agencies are sitting on top of these companies. They can't actually take you for a ride anymore, many times. So is medical concierge facility for an extra fee? Yes, some companies do charge for it, but majority of those who are offering it will offer it as a differentiator, as a segregating factor, that yes, we are providing this for free. What I know, Religare used to charge for medical concierge. When it has turned to care, I'm not sure whether it is charging the same or not. SDFC offered it for free. Now presently, after merging with Ergo, it is charging or not, I'm not sure. You have to check that out. So please explain again the assessment of ICR percentage comparison between the companies and IDIS side. So incurred claim ratio is that what exactly, let me just, if I can just share the slide. Just a minute. ICR incurred claim ratio. Okay, sorry. Give me a minute, please. Because the slide will actually tell you more about it. Okay. Okay, is the screen visible now? So just look at this. The incurred claim ratio is in proportion to what the company has earned from the total policies in premium, not the number of policies, it is in the amount, rupees in crores, and what they have given back to you. You applied for a claim. Obviously, the premium is not concomitant with the charges. It can go with the good luck and the bad luck also. कि national insurance or which one is having the highest. United के जितने premium आए उसके सारे customers जो सारे infected थे or maybe were the diseased ones, those who required hospitalization, and all those claims went into being the company giving a payout. So the ratio is 110%. So this is actually, let's suppose you paid your premium of 10,000 and you claimed probably maybe 1 lakh, let's suppose. So all those customers combined, maybe 9 customers paid you them 90,000 premium, and one of you got 1 lakh. So that makes the ratio 110% roughly, if not more than 100. So every 1 in 9 from the United opted for a claim or wanted for a claim. So if the private have less, in that case, the ratio is less. I hope you get the point now. If not, feel free to ask again.
So does that mean that all the people who were under national insurance, they got their claim approved? Most of them got it.
That is what I mentioned. Let's suppose your premium is 10,000. Okay. So if 10 people paid 10,000, that means you paid 1 lakh. The company gave a claim back of 1 lakh. So the ratio is 100%. Okay. So now if it is 110%, that means 9 paid 90,000 and the company paid back 1 lakh. Just as an example, presume. So that means 1 in every 9 opted for a payout or opted for a hospitalization. So the company was really unlucky. They had all the diseased patients, I mean to say, in that regard. So this is just not the scenario in that case. This is just to make it clear that yes, sometimes the companies might be lucky, unlucky. Sometimes there might be if it is lesser in private, it might be because of the lack of complete disclosure of the facts also. If their ratio is lesser, if they had gotten more premium and returned back less, there might be more limits in their plans. They might be lucky as well. There might be limits in their plans as well. So there it is a combination of both the factors, all those things. So incurred claim ratio is actually in one line. If I had to summarize whether the company is in profit or loss, and government companies are always in loss, you know that. So the private companies are always making profit from one head or the another. So that is the thing. So this is the aspect we actually don't pay much importance to is earlier, which I have been sharing the chart of claim settlement ratio. It was a different chart. This one which I shared, let me just go back once again. Okay. So if you look at this chart now, it is actually divided into two parts. Number one is claim received and claims paid. Number of policies, claims received, number of policies, claims paid back. So claim settlement on the basis of number of policies is 99%, because this much many policies actually, I told you Tata A is at number one in such. So, and benefit amount opted for. Benefit amount which was received was 150 crores, that we have a hospitalization of 150 crores. And the companies, after the deductions, the limits, sub-limits, paid back 145 crores. So this is the way. This percentage is given as a percentage of benefit amount separately, percentage of policies amount separately. Amount is also given separately. This, if you look at, I whenever I take sessions, this is the slide I added recently only, because the one I have taken up in Kalyan on any other workshop, I had the 2016-17. In that, there was not much of distinguishing feature between these two. There is only one number of policies and number of claims. So see, the percentage is given the policy wise also, benefit amount wise also, the benefit amount total received, and the average claim settlement ratio total amount as well. So this is the thing, this is the beauty. There is a lot of transparency. They have to actually disclose all the things to IRDAI. Ultimately, the watchdog is for this purpose only, that they can't actually, you keep on reading newspapers, RBI or SEBI or someone find this bank, you will find sometimes SBI also find, because of the missing the regulatory norms. Anyone goes out of the track, no person, no bank, no financial institution, no one is immune from their watchdog. They have to pay a certain amount of fine. And yes, that is the way it works in this industry now. So I hope it is clear to you now. So I doubt this is for 40-year-old. Anyways, DH covered once.
That's a mistake, sir. I calculated for the floater, but what you have been telling is for the individual. I got
individual,
it.
Yes. Floater is always on the basis of the eldest. No, it's okay. So I have a policy which is not within the top 5 as per your suggestion. Is it okay? The thing is, these are the lists which actually comprise of all the standard factors. Your list might be away from the standard. So if your policy suits your sensibilities and your situation and your needs and demands, it is no point that if it is not in top 5 or top 10. These rankings keep on changing every year. So don't worry about that. But if it is serving you well, if it has all the things that you need as a policy, considering your medical history and your background, then it doesn't matter whether the company is in top 5 or not. It should not be from the bottom 5, that is for sure. But it is not. There is hardly, if you see at the claim settlement ratio or the incurred claim, 99, 98, 97. So everything is from 95 to 99. There are 15 companies in that from 95 to 99 list. Is there anything much to choose between that? So maybe those 1 to 10 ranks are also based on a few points only. So it doesn't make any difference as such. It should serve your purpose. It should serve your needs, rank or not. The brand, when it becomes a brand, it starts charging for its value. And these are the best policies, not based on the amount, surely. These are based on other factors or a combination of many factors. So is there any additional waiting period if we do upgrade, top up, super top up policy? No. The usual base policy will define all your limits. Yes, certain sub limits can be there in the top up or the super top up plan. But otherwise, the whole list of, if you remember the critical illness session, you did not get such terminology. You didn't get so many exclusion clauses. If you remember, if you have watched that video, there is a whole list of that in the regular base plan coverage. Super top up, only a few limits. And yes, a deductible to choose from whether to apply on the whole or on the partial, up to you to apply. There are only a few riders, but yes, the claim process is as per the wordings mentioned in the policy document. Otherwise, there is no as such additional waiting period in that. So my policy, I mentioned clauses, numbers, sections. So where can I get exact information about these sections? If the sections like, if the sections mentioned, then those would be there in your policy itself. They are not the IPC sections that you have to search for them online. If they mention certain clauses or sections, they would be existing in your policy document only. Maybe at a later stage, maybe all the sections would be mentioned at the end in the appendices section sometimes. That is there. All those clauses are sometimes restrictive clauses, especially are mentioned at the end. Some people try to sugarcoat their words. शुरू में policy में अच्छा डाल दो, end में negative डाल दो. Because nobody goes after first few pages. So it depends upon those things. So I hope you got the answer, Dr. Madhvi.
Yes, sir. But if the page is missing or something, then
you can ask for the company to provide you with the policy document for your policy. Mail, send a mail to them. They can always provide you with the clause. Obviously, they will be having the, if the same company has not been ported out, which is the company what you are opted for?
Star Health.
Okay, Star Health is exclusive for health insurance only. You can mail them. They can always mail you a policy document.
Star policy is it's available online, sir. You can just download, sir.
No, sometimes certain policies are specific as per your policy. Certain clauses are specific, especially the restrictive clauses. So you have to be sure that you don't live in that zone of, say, supposing or assuming things. You have to be very specific in certain things, because they say it might be available, but in your policy, it was not there at that point of time. It might be available today. So on the net, you will not find that, yes, in 2018, this was the clause. They will only mention the current clause. because the customer has to make an informed choice today. You can't go and buy in the back date. Of course, you can't do that. So they won't mention. Maybe in an archive section, they might mention it for record purposes, but then that is not a mandatory thing. But for your TPA, your policy would apply what you had bought and what applied to you, because maybe a policy 3 years back would not be having a domiciliary hospitalization. Today, it is available. Today, it is existing. So it all makes a difference. So any more queries?
And this top up is there, super top up or top up. When I go for that, would that not be enough for COVID also, sir?
Depends upon how much amount you are taking. And today, in these days, considering the scarcity of beds, there is not a longer hospitalization for COVID also, unless it is a severe case. Mild to moderate cases are not even taken up for hospitalization. Moderate cases are discharged maximum 7 to 10 days. Unless you have a severe saturation problem, then you are kept in ICU or maybe limited. But otherwise, you are not. Once your saturation reaches normal, your other parameters are normal, you are discharged for home hospital, domiciliary hospitalization because of the huge rush. So I don't think unless someone is very serious, the bills will cross even 5 or 6 lakhs in today's times for mild to moderate, of course, what I believe. So Dr. Bhavna asks, when there is benefit of super top up to obtain the claim multiple times in the same year, then why should opt one for top up? Is there a compulsion of top up and super top up brought together? No, there is no compulsion as such, but then not every company would be offering a super top up plan. Some would make a top up mandatory to be bought along with a super top up, because ultimately the companies have to think of their benefit first. They'll think that you will exhaust these limits, then only you'll reach the super top up. For that, you have to be extremely debilitated. You have to be extremely, say, bedridden kind of a patient, or infected with various diseases, which is rarely there. And if there is such a case, the premium will be on the higher side, and there are higher co-payment clause as well. Usually that happens in 60%, 60 years plus cases. So things are there. So some companies will directly want you to offer super top up, but some will want you to go through that process of top up plus super top. So it depends again. These things are, as Dr. Rishabh also mentioned last night, these things are a bit confusing. So that is the reason I took them up separately. If I have merged with them in the first 2 sessions with the premium to coverage ratio, you would not have attended the second session also. So at least you are sitting till the end of the third. So you have gotten an idea for that part. So thank you, Dr. Kanaga. I hope you got the answer to your queries posted yesterday regarding COVID and regarding top up, super top up. Thank you, Dr. Madhavi. Dr. Kanaga is busy in his dinner. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any more queries?
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, I'll need a favor from all of you tomorrow. I'll mention in the group. Surely. First, you post your feedback to 1, 2, 3 or whatever session you want to in the paid group, and then I'll let you know what to do tomorrow in the morning. So because the ultimate aim is, if the purpose of taking these sessions back to back is not utilized, then there is no point in doing all this. So I hope you'll be obliging me tomorrow. Thank you. So any more queries? More than willing to answer. So next session would be probably next Thursday and Friday. I'll let you know a day before, but I need a 5-day break at least from all these things, and have a few things lined up already for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So probably there'll be the session only on Thursday and Friday. So I hope many things would be clear to you by now. And if not, you can have a repeat watch. You won't have to wait much for these videos. So second part comes on Sunday, third part comes on Tuesday. So the SD version comes a day later. So what Part 1 HD version comes tomorrow morning. So all those versions will be coming up. They've already been, if you can see the channel, the videos have already been scheduled. The video is ready. Once I end the session at this point of time, the video is ready in about 15 to 20 minutes. And I just, while roaming here and there, just place the upload. It is uploaded also within sometimes 5 or 7 minutes. And when I next sit on my desk, I just do the needful. I've already say screenshots and images already prepared for that purpose, and hardly takes me 5 minutes more to place all those 3 videos online again. So total distributed time of maximum 10 minutes for me to place those videos. If I have to sit and wait, yes, it takes a lot of time, but otherwise it does not take a lot of time with faster connections these days. So not an issue. So that is the reason. So thank you so much, one and all, for attending these 3 sessions. A few of you have been very regular in all these 3. Really appreciate that. Others might not be having time or aptitude to learn certain things, or maybe having some problems. So I really have no issues with that. But yes, if these, when you give an option, they sometimes will spoil people. Even if their option is there to watch it on YouTube later, we will watch it later. The procrastination creeps in, and that tomorrow never comes. Okay. Thank you so much. Any more, and or we call it a day?
Thank you, sir.
Almost close to 2.5 hours, and we are done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.